Breaking news for every American receiving food stamps right now. Something just happened that almost nobody is talking about yet, and it's about to change how much money lands on your EBT card starting in just a few weeks. If you rely on SNAP to help feed your family, this update matters more than you think, because while millions are celebrating, others could be left wondering why their benefits didn't stretch as far as promised. So stay with me until the very end, because what I'm about to show you will explain exactly who wins, who loses, and what you can do right now to make sure your household gets every dollar it deserves. And before we go any further, let me say this. If you've ever felt blindsided by sudden benefit changes, if you've ever woken up and realized your balance didn't hit the way you expected, this channel is made for you. I break down every single update that affects your wallet, Social Security, SSI, SNAP, and more, so you're never left guessing. But don't worry, I've got you covered. Now, my name is Daniela Rivera. I've spent the last 12 years helping families navigate benefit programs like SNAP, Medicaid, and Social Security. I've seen firsthand how one policy change can mean the difference between having enough groceries and coming up short before the month ends. And according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, more than 41 million Americans currently rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's not a small number. It's roughly 1 out of every 8 people in this country. Every October, the USDA releases new benefit levels for the following fiscal year, and the 2025 to 2026 update just dropped. The change will officially take effect October 1st, 2025, but most recipients will start seeing the new amounts reflected in their November EBT deposits. And here's what's making headlines behind the scenes. Average benefits are going up, but only if you know how to read the fine print. According to the official cost of living adjustment, SNAP benefits are increasing by about 3.5% nationwide. That means for a single person, the maximum monthly allotment rises from $291 to $301, while a family of 4 will see their maximum benefit go from $973 to $1,007 per month. It may not sound like much, but that small increase adds up to hundreds of dollars a year for millions of households. But here's where it gets tricky. The increase doesn't mean everyone's EBT card will automatically get more. Some states use separate income thresholds that can shift slightly. That means a few families might see smaller adjustments, or none at all, depending on how their household income changed since last year. And if you live in a high-cost area like California, New York, or Alaska, your numbers will look completely different because of regional adjustments. Now picture this. You check your EBT balance on October 2nd, expecting a nice bump, but instead it looks almost the same. You panic, thinking your increase didn't come through, or worse, that something went wrong. You're already planning how to stretch the last few dollars to get through the week. That's the kind of confusion I see every single year when these changes roll out. People get worried, phones flood the local offices, and grocery budgets fall apart overnight. And I get it. Imagine trying to keep a roof over your head, gas in your car, and food on the table, only to realize the raise you heard about got eaten up by rent increases and higher grocery prices before you even saw it. It's frustrating. It's exhausting. And honestly, it feels unfair. But here's the truth. Most news outlets won't explain. The reason for this increase isn't generosity. It's math. SNAP benefits are tied to something called the Thrifty Food Plan, which is a calculation the USDA uses to estimate how much it costs to buy a healthy diet at minimal cost. They review that plan every year to adjust for inflation and food price changes. Between June 2023 and June 2024, grocery prices jumped nearly 4%, driven mainly by staples like meat, eggs, and produce. So when the USDA finalized the 2025 to 2026 adjustment, they based it on those inflation numbers. That's why your EBT benefits are increasing, to keep up with higher food costs. But as many of you already know, the prices at your local store often rise faster than the benefit adjustments. Now here's where it gets interesting. The average family of 4 on SNAP will receive roughly $34 more per month under the new plan. That's about $408 a year. But if food inflation keeps rising at its current pace, the extra money might only cover 2 or 3 additional grocery trips. That's why budgeting this increase smartly is key. Last month, my own mother, who's been on SNAP since she retired, called me almost in tears. She said, "Daniel, I saw the news about the increase, but when I checked my balance, it didn't look any different." We went through her account together and realized her rent assistance had adjusted, slightly raising her counted income, which canceled out half of her SNAP increase. That's when it hit me. Millions of families are about to experience the same thing without anyone explaining why. Look, I know this is confusing. Benefits, deductions, income tests. It feels like a maze. But once you understand how the system works, you can take back control. So let me break down exactly what's changing and what it means for you. The SNAP formula has 3 moving parts: household income, allowable deductions, and the Thrifty Food Plan maximum. The first part, income, is straightforward. The less you earn, the more assistance you qualify for. The second part, deductions, includes things like rent, childcare, and medical expenses. The third part, the maximum benefit, is the ceiling for what you can get each month, and that's the part increasing this October. Now, here's where you need to pay close attention. The USDA also adjusts the gross and net income limits every year. For 2026, the gross income limit for a household of 4 is increasing to $3,350 a month, up from $3,280. That might sound small, but it means more working families will now qualify for some level of benefits. Even if you've been denied before, this new threshold could make you eligible again. And for seniors and people with disabilities, there's even better news. The deduction cap for medical expenses is being raised, allowing more of those costs to be excluded from income calculations. That means if you're paying out of pocket for prescriptions or doctor visits, your net income could fall enough to increase your benefit. I want to pause for a second and say something important. If you're finding this information helpful, make sure you stay connected. I will be here every single week breaking down these updates. Not the sugar-coated version, but the truth that actually affects your bank account and your family's food security. Subscribing here is like building a safety net of information. You'll always know what's changing before anyone else does. All right, let's get back to it. The USDA's report also highlights a big shift in how emergency allotments are handled. Remember during the pandemic when extra SNAP benefits were added to help families? Those temporary boosts ended in most states in 2023. But for 2026, a few states, including California, Hawaii, and New Mexico, are using state-level funds to supplement federal SNAP benefits for certain households, mostly seniors and people with disabilities. That's a quiet win that hasn't gotten enough attention. So yes, there's finally good news for food stamp recipients, but only if you understand the full picture. Now, let's talk strategy. If you're one of the millions living on a fixed income, you can use this increase to build a little breathing room instead of letting it disappear into weekly expenses. Treat the first month's increase as untouchable. Use it to create a small emergency food reserve. Canned goods, frozen vegetables, rice, beans, the basics that hold value even if prices spike again. And here's something else nobody tells you. The EBT system sometimes has processing delays when new rates roll out. That means your balance might not update on the exact day you expect. It doesn't mean you lost benefits. It usually clears within 24 to 48 hours. So don't panic if you don't see the increase immediately. Unfortunately, whenever there's a change like this, scammers come out of the woodwork. I've already seen fake text messages and emails pretending to be from SNAP support, asking people to click links or confirm their card numbers. Please don't fall for it. The USDA and your state agency will never ask for your PIN or card number over the phone or by text. If you get one of those messages, delete it immediately and report it to your local office. Now let's zoom out for a minute. Why does this keep happening? Why are we constantly talking about adjustments, increases, and still falling behind? Because food inflation never truly stops. Even when the government raises benefits, it's playing catch-up. The system is designed to react, not predict. And while it's not corruption or mismanagement, it does create hardship. The truth is, the government adjusts benefits based on past data, not current prices, which means families are always a few months behind the curve. But while the system is rigid, you can be flexible. Knowing the schedule and the math gives you power. If you plan your grocery trips around when your benefits hit and buy non-perishables when prices dip, you can stretch your EBT further than most people realize. So here's my advice, spoken from experience. Check your benefit notice when it arrives in the mail or online through your state portal. Compare last month's amount with this month's. If your increase looks smaller than expected, it could be due to an income adjustment or a deduction change. Call your local office and ask for a benefit calculation breakdown. You have the right to see how they reached your number. And if you recently started a new job or got a raise, make sure you report it. Not because you want less help, but because keeping your records updated prevents overpayment issues that can come back later as debts you'll be forced to repay. For everyone who's feeling overwhelmed, take a breath. This isn't bad news. It's a moment of opportunity to plan smarter. And to everyone watching right now, let me remind you, you're not alone in this. Millions of households are figuring out how to adjust just like you are. That's why I'm here every week, cutting through the confusion, explaining what matters, and helping you stay a step ahead. Think about it. Wouldn't it feel safer knowing someone's watching the policy calendar for you, making sure you know before the changes hit? That's what I do here. I'm not saying this for me. I'm saying this for you, because once you understand how this system moves, it stops controlling you. Now let's talk about timing. The official adjustment date is October 1st, 2025, but depending on your state's payment cycle, you might not see the new benefit until the first or second week of November. That's normal. Each state has its own schedule, and deposits are staggered to manage processing loads, so don't compare your balance to someone in another state. They may be on a completely different timetable. And here's a little-known fact. SNAP benefits never expire immediately. You have 9 months from the date they're issued to spend them before they're removed from your card. So if you're building a small emergency reserve, don't worry about losing those funds as long as you rotate and use older balances first. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about the bigger picture. Every time benefits go up, we see the same pattern. People celebrate for a week, then realize prices jumped again, and that little bump doesn't stretch as far as hoped. It's easy to get discouraged. But here's what I tell every family I work with. This program is designed to support you, not shame you. You paid into this system through taxes, through years of hard work, through the economy itself. You deserve to understand it and benefit from it fully. What would it mean to you if you never had to wonder about your SNAP balance again? If you could look ahead with confidence instead of confusion? That's what staying informed gives you. Clarity, security, peace of mind. So here's the truth. The 2026 SNAP increase is real. It's happening. Most households will see a 3.5% boost, and if you plan carefully, that small bump can make a real difference. But only if you stay proactive, check your mail, verify your balance, and watch out for scams. I know this feels complicated. I know some of you are frustrated, maybe even angry, that the increase isn't bigger. But the people who prepare, who stay informed, are always the ones who come out ahead. So take control of this moment. Check your notices. Update your information. Talk with your family about how to stretch that increase wisely. Because this isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about meals on your table, stability in your home, and peace of mind in your future. That's the truth.